Okay. Hope you can hear me. Is it live? Yeah, we're live now. You have to follow this so that we can know. Check in setting. Yeah? Just use it directly. We are you. So you check from the phone. Right. Okay. Okay, you're welcome. Good evening. I'm glad to have you online and I'm glad to be here tonight. How are you doing today? It's a beautiful night and I'm so grateful that we're here to see you tonight. Welcome on board, welcome on board. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome on board. Ooh. Talk to Ray. I can see you, care_space_NG. You're welcome. St. Paul Secondary. I can see you. You're welcome. Welcome to Love Boulevard. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Yes. Catch you live. You're welcome. Tell someone to tell someone that we're getting live. We are going live. We are live already. And I'm glad to be hosting you tonight. Nolly, welcome on board. How are you doing, Nolly? It's been long I saw you. How's your husband and your handsome son? Wow, it's good to have you guys. I'm so excited and so delighted to have you guys. And promises to be an exciting time. Promise to be an exciting time. Promise to be an exciting time. Wow, 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 wow. Tell someone to tell someone that we are live. We are live and welcome to Marriage Conversations. Marriage is a beautiful thing and so many other things can happen in between. And I'm glad that I'll be conversing with you today. I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited about tonight. So I look forward to a beautiful and engaging night. I will appreciate as time goes on that you begin to drop in your comments, your questions and everything, so that we can do this together. You know? So welcome. Welcome. Okay now. Catch you like we did gidigba, here we come. Tell somebody and tell someone that we're live and we're doing this tonight. Oh, I hope you can get the vibe of my music background. Oh, it's good to know that you guys are online. Okay. Madam Evelyn, I can see you. Thank you for coming on board. It's good to see you coming online. Oh, Bankole Peters, I can see you. Banky, yeah, I see you, sir. You're welcome. Good to catch up with you again. It's been long. I've not probably heard from you this year. Wow. Cornerstone GB, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. Welcome to Marriage Conversations. It promises to be interesting. It promises to be, what do I say now? Enlightening also and engaging. So I look forward to you dropping your own comments and things like that on the chat box as we go on. Adewale Akinsheye, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm just taking time for more people to get on board. Then we take the flight. You're welcome. Okay, thanks for having me, bro. Longer time, sir. Ibironke. It's good to have you here. Okay. Tell someone marriage conversation is live, and we're going to be talking about marriage. Personally, today I'll be sharing my thought about marriage from 4 perspectives. It's 4 distinct phases of my life, and it promises to be very, very interesting as we look into this. Okay. So, Mayor of London, welcome. Folashope Ogundairo. Ooh, glad to have you, sir. You're welcome. You're welcome. Glad to see people here online. I'm so excited you're coming. Honestly, you're coming online tonight. It's so encouraging. Well, this is the first edition of Marriage Conversation, and we intend to make this a weekly thing where we come to talk about relationship issues, marriage and relationship matters with no holds bar. We intend to talk and touch those areas that people don't want to talk about. We intend to learn, we intend to share, we intend to make the best out of this moment. And I can assure you it's going to be an interesting one, honestly. Mr. Olaiwola Clement, thank you for joining in. I appreciate you. Thank you. Damasius, I'm Lola. I can see that. I am Temi QT. Wow. It's good to have you guys on board. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have you guys around. Your comments and encouragement, and I promise it's not going to be a waste of your time. We're going to be looking at things very, very important. You see, we can't talk too much about marriage and relationship because marriage is life. Because life is life with others. We are fundamentally relational being. We're emotional and relational being. We are also cognitive being. But tonight, as far as my conversation is concerned, tonight we're going to be looking at, first of all, the relational aspect of we as human beings. And if there's any platform where relationship, as far as relating together is concerned, is in marriage. Life is life with others. You have relationship in your place of work. You have relationship with your boss, with your subordinate, with your colleagues, with your neighbor. And if there's any one aspect of relationship that is so critical, is the aspect of marriage, relationship and marriage, love relationship between a man and a woman. I used to tell people that I love love. Love is a beautiful thing, So I understand that truly love is a beautiful thing, fundamentally speaking, but the picture a lot of people are seeing or experiencing may not be beautiful. But the whole essence of marriage conversation is to look at it and where do we need to bring some stroke of our paintbrush once again, where do we need to put some maybe some pink colors, some blue colors, and paint a beautiful and a unique color of marriage that we want. One thing I've come to realize that every man and woman that fall in love, no matter the situation that their relationship is at the moment, they can still get the best out of their relationship. No relationship is beyond redemption. In as much the man and the woman are ready to make it work, in as much the man and the woman are ready to get their hand dirty, fold up their sleeves, and get to work and get it happen. So today we are here for the first edition, the maiden edition of Marriage Conversations with Olaiwola Abiola, your certified mental health counselor with a specialization in relationship and marriage therapy. So I'm so excited. I'm so pumped up. I'm so I don't know what else to say. I'm lack of words now, but I look forward to an engaging time. So today, as we journey, because I also understand the time, I want to start off by looking at, as I said, marriage conversation is going to be a weekly thing, and I intend to bring different areas of relationship and marriage, and let's just talk about it. There will be some times I'll bring other professionals to come share with us their thoughts and their perspective as far as those issues we're going to be discussing about. So tonight is going to be a general overview of what marriage is and 4 deep perspective with which I'm going to be seeing it tonight. I'm going to be sharing with you. Now, these 4 perspectives are different areas and times of my life, and what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what I've come to discover marriage to be. So today is going to be like I'm not narrowing down to any particular aspect of marriage or relationship tonight. What I want to do tonight is to create a general overview, right from the days of our single days now to whether you're engaged or in courtship, or whether you're married, and whether you're having a very fantastic relationship at the moment with your spouse, or maybe things are not just going with the way you planned. So the whole essence of today is to pick it from the beginning and just meander around different seasons of marriage, and share some nuggets and some very important information that I believe will help and get us started. So today I'm so excited that I'm doing this. So what is marriage for me? I see marriage, first of all, maybe I should start with that, and you're free to please drop your comments. You're free to drop your comment. I'll be so excited to read your comment as the event goes on. I'll be picking up your comments. So first of all, I want to ask this question and asking myself that how do I see marriage? First of all, I see marriage as an unconditional commitment that a man and a woman enter into as long as both of them shall live. Unconditional commitment. The key word here is unconditional, then commitment. I used to tell people, if there's any other word for marriage, for me, it will be commitment. We all know when we're in school, when we're taught antonyms and synonyms. Antonyms opposite in meaning, synonyms similar in meaning or close in meaning. So, but ordinarily, if you look at the word marriage and commitment, grammatically, you may not see the similarities there. But in reality, having been married for 12 years and being a marriage therapist, I can tell you that there is one word, even though grammatically speaking, you may not say commitment is another word for marriage. Maybe you want to use matrimony, whatever. But if there's any other word for marriage, for me, is what I call commitment. So I want to ask you that if there's another word for marriage, just one word, another synonym, what will it be for you? I want you to drop it in the chat box. Let me just see what it is for me. Olaiwola Abiola, marriage. Another word for marriage for me is commitment. So I want to see what marriage is to you. Another word for marriage as far as you are concerned. So please drop it in the chat box. What is marriage for you? I'm waiting to see it. Marriage for me, unconditional commitment. So the word commitment is another word that I want to call marriage. So for you, what is marriage? It's a conversation. So please drop it in your chat. I want to see it. What is marriage for you? Give me another word for marriage. Another word. I'm waiting. Drop them. I'm waiting to see if there's another word for you that you want to call marriage. For me, it is commitment. What do you want to call it? Which other word do you want to call it? Marriage is partnership. Okay, I see you, Kachi. Union. Damishio said union. Good. Any other word? Guys, throw it in. Let's do this. It's a conversation. We are in marriage conversation, So drop it. Let me see. Union from Damisius, from Kachi Live. Responsibility. Whoa. Now you guys are talking. Marriage is a partnership. It takes teamwork, togetherness. Hope Footwear. So I can see you, Corridor. Thank you for joining. Togetherness. Okay. Somebody said teamwork. Okay. Responsibility. You can see. Very, very powerful words there. Very, very powerful words. Decision. Hey, Julie, it's good to see you. Wow, thank you for joining. Decision. Wow. Somebody said marriage is a decision. Wow. That's powerful. Togetherness. Wow. Any other person, drop those words. I want to see. Drop them. Marriage is a decision. Married together. Maturity. That one is deep. Deep gone. Maturity. I'm not. If there's another word for marriage, maturity. I'm just thinking where is coming from. Sabankole is coming from for that word. Wow. Maturity. That's powerful. Loyalty. Nolly, I see you. Loyalty. Ryo. Work together. Wow. Two can work together. I said they be agreed. Wow. Powerful. Wow. I want one more before I move on. Wow. Somebody give me one more word, another word. You see marriage. Before I go into this thing, the few notes that I have to share before I come back. Companionship. Adewale. Wow, companionship. That's powerful. Now, if you look at all these words, they are so powerful and so interesting. I don't know when the last time you and I probably I've thought about these words. Companionship, for me, I see it as commitment. Somebody say maturity. Somebody say togetherness. Somebody say working together. Somebody say decision. Somebody say, Mr. Bakul is saying sacrifice. Powerful. So if you look at all these words, they are understanding. Ayeni Matthew, wow. So if you look at all these words, they are indeed, you are so correct about every other word that you have given as a synonym to marriage. So what it also means is this, that marriage indeed can be the best it should be, or that it has capacity to be, if we do not come to understand what these words are and how it plays out in the day-to-day engagement with our spouses, whether you are engaged, you are in a courtship, or you're dating, or you're married. Very important. An agreement. Sunday Akine, thank you, Baba. It's nice to see you here. So without wasting much of your time, I want to go to there are 4 perspectives with which I want to share with you tonight, where my thoughts on marriage from 4 perspectives. Number 1, my thought on marriage as a kid and as a teenager. I know you may be wondering, what has this got to do with what we are looking about? A kid and a teenager? Honestly speaking, a lot of things are loaded there. So the first major perspective that I want, or my thought that I want to share on marriage, is my thought on marriage as a kid. You and I will believe me that when we're kids, one of the popular things we used to do in those days is that daddy mommy play, when the boy will have the father and the girl will have the mother. But I've come to realize that when we were children, it's always when we're children, as a child, the first definition and picture of marriage that you have as an whatever you have now happened when you were a kid. What am I trying to say? It is always when we are all children that we see and experience the first picture or definition of marriage, either good or bad. I've had people that in my interaction with them that said, look, while I was growing up, the example of marriage that I saw, that I experienced, was that bad that I pray, if this is marriage or this is what marriage means, I don't want to be married. And people had a sister that said she would rather be a reverend sister, a nun. Apologies to being a reverend sister. There's a fantastic decision, those that decided to choose that path, that she's saying she would rather be unmarried than to marry and experience the kind of things she saw growing up. So the first thought or perspective I want to share tonight is my perspective on marriage as a kid and as a teenager while growing up. So each and every one of us, the first definition of picture of marriage that we realize or we come in contact with was the definition or the picture of marriage painted by our parents, either good or bad. For example, if you grew up in an environment of an absentee father or of a divorced marriage relationship, that's where you grew up, there's a perspective of marriage you hold going forward. If you grew up in an environment where the father and the mother lovey-dovey, they are into each other, you can see that your daddy and your mom, they are good friends, buddies. There's a perspective of marriage you hold going forward. If you happen to grow up in an environment where there's a lot of like a master-servant relationship between the man and the woman, don't you know I'm the head of this home? And you see a lot of domestic violence or emotional abuse, physical abuse, it impacts your life in one way or the other. It conditions and programs us to see marriage in a certain way. So, in my practice as a therapist, I've come to realize that a lot of issues we are dealing with in marriage now that people bring to the table when we have marriage sessions are basically long-held beliefs of what marriage should be. For example, if you grow up in an environment where the father is not responsible, is not living up to responsibility and expectation over his life, and the woman have to be the breadwinner, and a child grows up in that kind of environment, there are two ways. Is it that the son becomes irresponsible or have an entitlement mentality or become narcissistic, or grows up and say, look, I don't want this to happen. And the girls that grow up in that kind of environment, they can grow up and become, look, you can't trust any man, I must get my own money. In as much that is a good thing, but they just have this self-independent mindset, So when they come to marriage, which is a teamwork, they find it to come to a point of agreeing into a teamwork. So first thing I want to share is that as I was growing up as a kid, the first thing I saw, or I defined marriage to be, was that marriage is a privilege. Do you know why? Because I always see my dad having the biggest and most number of meats on his food. My dad will eat it. In those days, nobody eat the lap of the chicken. It must be my dad. Nobody use the golden spoon. It must be my dad. So in my head, as a kid growing up, all I knew was that marriage is a privilege. That if you are a father, you are a daddy, you eat the biggest of meat. But listen to me, until I became a teenager, that I now got to know that it's not just about privilege. Indeed, marriage offers and confers privileges on people, but not only privileges, but also responsibilities. Now, there are young people out there that they only want the privilege of having sex with a woman, but they are not ready for the responsibility therein that follows after. Now, so from that perspective, I come to realize that marriage is not just a privilege, it's also a responsibility. Because when it's time to pay for the house rent, I see my dad have to pay the rent. When it's time to pay our school fees, my dad and my mom, they go, no. So I come to realize growing up as a kid that marriage was a privilege. But when I became a teenager, suddenly it dawned on me, because when they sent me back from school, that where's your school fees? And I get back home to my mom, I must go talk to your dad. And at the time, my dad said, look, I don't have the money now. Go talk to your mommy. So I come to realize that it's not just about privileges. It's also responsibilities. Indeed, marriage confers privileges on us. But you also need to know it also confers responsibilities. And I was not surprised when somebody used another word for marriage as responsibility. So the question is, how well are you doing, or are you faring with your responsibility as a married man or as a married woman? Then number two, how much of the privilege that marriage confers of you are you enjoying? For example, sexual relationship is a privilege in marriage. Suddenly you are not entitled to your body anymore. If you still want to maintain your virginity, better don't get married. And these days we have a lot of issues in marriage because of quote unquote what we call sexless marriage. One of the privileges that marriage confer on the man is access to the body of his wife, and vice versa. So when you are in a relationship and is sexless, you are denying your partner one of the major privilege of marriage. So I learned that as a child, that truly marriage is about responsibilities and privileges. Another thing I've come to realize when I was a kid was that I see marriage as a place of authority and control, because I can't have a say of my own. My parents have to determine the kind of school I attend. I wanted to do economics in school. My father said no. I wanted to do commercial after my JSS2 result, because I had 9 A's and 4 C's my junior WAEC. But I want social science. But my dad said no. What's not doing with sciences? So my father just assert authority. He said, whether you like it or not, this is what you're going to do. Grow up and as good as it sounds, many people have lost control of their home. Many people have lost the place of authority in their home. I won't deceive you. Most of the time, a lot of men believe that it's all about provision of money. Fine. Nobody is denying that. But you need to understand that marriage is also the place of exercising of your authority or bringing leadership to the table. Most of the time, what ladies are asking for is not even money, quote and unquote, but does they want a man that will be responsible enough to provide leadership. Okay. Due to the fact that you are not providing leadership, that you are having issues in your marriage, or because your leadership style is too coercive, is not, because leadership is not, it's about influencing people, it's about influence. And if there's any place, they say charity begins at home. So I learned that in marriage, there's leadership. You see, it does not matter the kind of things we are hearing today, the different kind of movement. If a marriage must work, the man and the woman must understand that there's a place of leadership. There's an organogram in marriage where is a partnership, but someone called the male, not because he's a man, but because there must be an order in the house and somebody must be the head of the home. And through all religion, through all cultures, you see that the man has been given the responsibility of leadership. So you must come to the point of leadership. When we talk about leadership talk about Leadership talk about coming to the table, coming to the party. Leadership about being there. When we talk about leadership, talk about headship. And if you look at the head comprises of all the 5 organs of human being. The eyes, to see, which is for vision. What vision can you see for your family? The nose, to smell. How perceptive are you? How sensitive are you? The ear, to pay attention to your wife, to your children. Your tongue, not just to eat, but to talk. What's your communication life with your wife? The skin, to feel. Are you empathic? Are you not just waiting concerning me? I don't say if I don't even. Do you put your partner's feeling into consideration? That's what I also saw as a place of authority and leadership as a kid. So growing up, I saw that. Now, as I move on, being a teenager, these are the things I saw, and it really shaped my perspective about marriage. That, look, this is very, very important. Another thing I saw marriage, before I move to the next thing, this is very funny. While growing up as a teenager, now I moved from being a kid to being a teenager, I saw marriage, the one major sex. Because at that point, you are the genital stage of your psychosexual development stage as a teenager. So at that genital stage, you start having this feeling for the opposite sex, and that alone, as you grow up at the adolescent stage, you begin to have this feeling for the opposite sex. You see a girl pass by, you have a feeling. A lot of us, we did that while growing up these days. If that does not happen to you, then I don't know where the planet you came from. I don't know the planet you came from. But there's what they call the psychosexual development stage of every individual. From 13 and above, you begin to have what they call this self-awareness of the opposite sex. So now you want to go to school, you want to make your shirt must be clean and well tidied up. In those days, we didn't have mustache. Somebody like me, it took me time to have mustache. So we use methylated spirit to do to try and get some. So you feel like an adult trapped in a child's body. So as a teenager, our testosterone as a guy and estrogen as a girl begin to busting and puberty and the likes. So the only thing we see marriage or relationship is also about sex, because it's understandable we're in the genital stage of our psychosexual development stage of our development. So see, it's just about sex. We see it just about sex, and because of that, many young people had a lot of Okay, I think I'm back now. I hope you can still hear me. Can you hear me? So let me go back with the genital stage. So a lot of people, because as a teenager, the major thing you see in marriage is about sex. The opposite is about sex, because your libido is developing, you in puberty, testosterone is going high. But listen, even though truly sex is a major part of marriage. See, let me talk a little bit about sex in marriage. If there's anything that oil the engine of marital union, is sex. Even though as a teenager, it's just about, even though fine from my strong spiritual upbringing and conservative Christian background, I didn't have the opportunity to experience such, but I experienced masturbation because everybody is doing it, but I have a strong Christian background. I can't commit fornication, quote and unquote, and so masturbation became an option. So what am I trying to say? Sex is an integral part of marriage. And listen, there's no mental health without sexual health. Then number two, I can tell how healthy your marital life is by hearing from you how your sexual life is with your spouse. Sex is critical. Sex is important. In fact, sex is like an engine oil that oils the engine of marriage. Scientifically, it has been proven when a man has sex with his wife, good and come to the place of orgasm, feel good hormones like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin have been released into the bloodstream. and creates a bonding effect between the man and his wife. This bonding effect that comes as a result of orgasm lasts in a man for 2 days and lasts in a woman for 14 days. So the implication of it is this, that out of sex, am I back now? Okay, I think I'm back now. So out of sex, when you say out of mind, out of sight is out of mind. Out of sex is out of mind. It's out of bond. Out of sex is out of bond. Because sex is designed to create this bonding effect between a man and his wife. I don't know how healthy your sexual life is in your marriage. Many marriages are not doing well today because they've not paid attention to their sexual relationship as husband and wife. Maybe tonight this conversation will let you sit down and want to reappraise and evaluate your sexual relationship with your husband. Maybe you've lost the spice, the fire, the mojo in your sexual life. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to think, or probably you need to engage, to come see somebody like me, a marriage therapy, a relationship therapy, and let's talk about your sexual life in your marriage. A lot of people are experiencing what they call sexless marriage. And honestly speaking, this is not helping a lot of relationships. So that's one of my thoughts as a teenager growing up. I eventually discovered, as I moved to my second thought on marriage. My second thought of marriage as an undergraduate or as a young adult. Now, after some time, I was eventually able to break off from the addiction of masturbation. Now, as an undergraduate in school, year 1, year 2, year 3, and a new understanding dawned on me about marriage. At this point in time, as an undergraduate, I've come to realize I begin to see marriage from a different perspective. And I began to see marriage as something important that must not be entered in a wrong way. And what are those thoughts? Number one, the need to marry right suddenly dawned on me as an undergraduate, growing up on campus on those days. Because as a teenager, having expressed my sexual desires and being addicted to masturbation at a point before I got over it and was able to live free without masturbation. And going forward, I think there's something that happened to us as we grow older. And we come to see life maybe because I lost my dad along the line, being a teenager about to gain admission. So I had to grow up. And I think it affected some other aspect of my life, like my emotional and relational life. So I remember one particular day I came back from after my school start, and my mom called me 3 times. You know, God bless our mothers, African woman. Thumbs up to them. I don't know if you have the kind of woman. I know you do, because people of my generation know. They have different kind of reset tools, like omorogun, that thing they used to turn about, you know, like slippers, like broom, abara, ifoti, igbamu, you know, that kind of thing. If you are born in the 70s and in the 80s, you understand what I'm talking about. It will reset you. It will reset you. So I came back finishing my work, and I was so excited. And my mom looked at me and said, Olaiwola, sit down. I said, Mom, what is it? I'm in school. So I said, look, I need to tell you this. I said, what is it, Mom? You know, when your mom called you 3 times, Olaiwola, 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 you know, in those days, you know that something serious about to drop, that your mom's about to say something. You know that this is not frivolity. Thank God for our mothers for the great work they did. Iko, thank you. Iko, those come out stage. Thank you, Rayo. I saw you. You know. And my mom said, sit down. I can't forget that day she was eating eba and egusi jebu. In fact, as I'm telling you now, talking, I can still visualize that scene. I was barely 16 plus or 17 when I finished my work. And she said, sit down. I want to talk to you. And she said, look, if you know you don't love a woman, if you know you're not ready to marry a lady, never open your mouth and say, I love you. Never say you love her. And he said, if you ever impregnate a lady, don't abort. I said, Mom, you know me now. I'm a Jesus boy. I don't do that. He said, I'm just telling you. But those words, especially the first one, said, if you know you are not ready to marry a lady, don't ever open your mouth and tell her that I love you. No, I love you is going to be cliche today. Everywhere, people brandish this word. But those few minutes of conversation with my mom really settled a lot of issue in my mind as far as relationship is concerned. And going forward, when I'm in close relationship with a lady, I won't say I love you like the normal thing guys will say. I just remember my mommy's voice. My son, if you are not ready to marry a lady, don't say I love you. I'll just reset. So as an undergraduate and as a young man, now I've moved out from being a teenager now. How do I see marriage? I started seeing marriage as a purpose-driven partnership. That is, purpose suddenly became a reality in my life. Purpose suddenly became something important. In fact, there's a slogan I used to say then, that purpose before partner. Purpose come before partner. Suddenly I realized as an undergraduate, as a young man, that look, you are not expected to fall in love if you have not found yourself. And that entails finding the purpose to live for. In my experience as a therapist, I've come to realize that most of the issues people are going through, you see, a guy and a lady that love themselves so much, good guys, the only problem is that they fell in love when they both have not discovered their purpose or their life direction. Now the lady wants to be a career woman, the man wants a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing bad in being a stay-at-home mom. The only problem here is that you have now married a woman whose own desire and life direction is to be a career woman that wants to rise through the ladder to the top echelon of her career, and now become an issue in marriage. So I've come to realize that purpose comes before partner. So as an undergraduate, the fear of marrying wrong became a thing for me. When I was a teenager, it was about sex, it was about my emotional feeling. But when I became an undergraduate, I suddenly discovered that there's a place of marrying right. That if life must be sweet, if life must be enjoyable, because two can't work together except they be agreed, I must come to the point where I realize that purpose is key. So the ideal thing, honestly speaking, is that people must ideally find their life direction, find themselves, find personal wholeness before bringing another woman or another man into their life. But what do we have today? Issues that we have to deal with in counseling sessions most of the time are issues that goes down to, ordinarily speaking, you see this person, ordinarily you have no business being together in this ship. But at last they've been married. The emotional dimension of love must beclouded them that all they see was just about their body, it's about the good time, going out for movies, beautiful, good. But the important thing tonight that I want to pass across is that purpose comes before partner. So if you are not yet married or you are still dating, this is the best time to evaluate your life. And if you're already married, you must come to a point and say, what is our core? What is that binding core that brings a man and a woman together? See, marriage becomes interesting when there's a center. No matter where you go, you put to the right, you put to the left. When there's a similar center, a purpose that binds you together, you will always find a place around it. You will come to a place. Every other thing will in those days of my when I was pastoring in the church, no matter what happened, because we know we have a responsibility, we must come to the point of agreement. We come to a point of agreement because it's key, it's the center, it's what beats in my heart 24/7. And now becoming a certified mental health counselor and a therapist, marriage is core for me. And for my wife, family life, marriage. So in the midst of everything, we'll always find something to talk about. We'll always find something that interests us because there's a core that binds us together. So if you are married, maybe one of the reasons why you're having strain and stress in your marriage is because you and your wife are living at opposite ends. I understand the place of individuality in the thing called marriage, but even in the midst of our individuality, there must be something that binds us together as husband and wife. That is our life focus. That is our concern. The issues that our life as a couple is addressing in our lifetime. To some people, it's politics. To some people, it's business. To some people, it's governance. To some people, it's industry. To some people, it's music. It's entertainment. You see a lot of power couples. To some people, politics. See power couples like Obama and Mitchell. See power couples like Topa Labi and Soji Alabi. See power couples like Reverend Sam and Nick Adeyemi. You see there's something about them that you can't just separate them because there's a core. Many marriages are having issues today because there's no center that pull both the man and the woman together. They all live even under the same roof. but they live to your tent, oh Israel. Everybody is doing what he or she likes. Another thing I discovered as undergraduate is that to come into a place of marriage, I must get a life. So I want to say to young people that are not yet married, get a life, get a life. Find your life purpose, find your life meaning. Get a job, go learn a trade, go learn a vocation. Thank God for the season we are in now. Don't just sit down and waiting for someone to make things happen. I used to tell people, marriage becomes sweet when there's a fantastic partnership. That as a woman, even though fine, your man will take care of you, but you are making your own money. Get a life. No man can meet your needs 100%. Whether emotional, whether physiological, spiritual, mental, financial. In one way or the other, he will default because he's still human. Flesh and blood. So as a young adult, I've come to realize that if I must make marriage work, I must get a life. And I've come to realize when we cry as a young man then, I must marry the right person. But there's this bitter truth you must know. Having a fantastic marriage is not as much as getting the right person as much as you being the right person. I have to ask people, the you that you know, if you become an opposite set of you, will you marry you with all the weaknesses you know of yourself, of your strength, of your ideologies, of your perspective, of your worldview of life, of your secret things that you do? So even though we look like I married the right person, but because fundamentally you attract your kind. So the secret of finding the right person is you being the right person yourself. So the question I used to ask young people is that, can you marry you if you are an opposite sex? The you that you know, let's say you are a man, and you now become a woman, can you marry the kind of man exactly like you in terms of character, in terms of commitment to life, your life assignment, in terms of commitment to your life goals? How much do you even love yourself? A lot of people don't even love themselves, talk less of loving another person. They are so full of toxic thoughts about themselves, wrong perspective, self-defeating thoughts. So I used to tell people, get a life and build the right person. If you are the right person, you will attract your kind. Because of time, I want to go to the other aspect, the third perspective I'm going to share tonight. About marriage. I've talked about my thought as a kid and as a teenager, and talked about my thought about marriage as undergraduate, a young man growing up. This time around, I want to talk about my thought and my discovery about marriage as a married man. Now, I know a lot of my senior colleagues are here, and those that have also been a senior colleague to you, because by the grace of God, this April, I'll be marking my 12th wedding anniversary. It's going to be 12 years that I've been married to one of the most wonderful women in the world. It has not been all rosy. We've had our up and down, but I've come to realize that marriage is hard work. Now, this is my thought as a married man. I've been married for 12 years. Marriage is hard work. Marriage is not for the lazy bone. Marriage is not for irresponsible people. Marriage is hard work. Hard work in the sense that you must be ready to grow up. You must be ready to be mature. You must be ready to be responsible. You must be ready to do and give whatever it takes to make it work. Marriage is hard work. That's what I discovered in 12 years of my marriage. Marriage is a combination. It's like a coin of two sides. Love work and hard work. You can't just want the butterfly in my belly perspective alone about marriage. There's a place where you need to confront issues when your temperamental differences come to play. Whether you are an extroverted person and this person is an introverted person, whether this person is a talking person, this person is a moody person, whether this person is a go-getter, a tax-oriented person, or the person you married is a people-oriented person. So in these 12 years, I've come to realize that we are different. Marriage is about two different people coming together in a journey towards oneness. So now my thought as marriage as a married man for about 12 years now is that marriage is a place of vast different temperamental differences, gender differences. Women are feelers, men are thinkers. So when you bring a feeler and a thinker together, someone that is relational and someone that is a thinker, a logical being, is a disaster for disagreement. It's a recipe for disagreement. It's a recipe for disagreement. So, but the question is, how do you now make it work? How do you come to the place where you blend? is by these are the places of the hard work we're talking about. Hard work of forgiving, even when you don't feel like forgiving. Hard work of swallowing your ego and saying you are sorry when you are wrong. Hard work of doing your part and say whatever happens, I will do my bit, this marriage work. Hard work of staying true to one man, staying true to one woman. You know, I jokingly say to people that marriage is like you going to get a DSTV decoder, and at the end of the day, most of the decoder, the bookcase will give you 100 and something channels, 70 channels, 80 channels, and here you get to just one channel. Marriage is like that, getting a DSTV, and after the amount of money you paid, it's just one channel, and you put it on. Whether it's cartoon, you have to watch that cartoon for the rest of your life. Whether it's Discovery Channel, you have to look at that for the rest of your life. Hard work. Marriage is a commitment. That's one thing I discovered. Hard work in the sense that commitment. I used to tell people it's not commitment if it's convenient. It's not commitment if it's convenient. At times, probably you have to go drop off your children at school, go pick them up again, go pick up your wife. You might have to go to the market to get groceries, to cook. You're both on the road, Tomilambri traffic, Lagos traffic, and yet you still have to get home to cook, to take care of your family. And at the end of the day, brother is still calling you the night. Let's do something similarly. You know, marriage is hard work. So in these 12 years, I've come to realize that it's hard work. And you see, that work now becomes soft work. Like one of my colleagues at the Institute of Counseling to say, we call it soft work. It becomes soft work when you now marry your friend. I used to tell people the ideal thing to do in marriage is to marry your friend. And if you happen to not to marry your friend, then you make your spouse your friend. So maybe the journey where you are is that you suddenly discover that you didn't marry your friend. You just marry a master, or you marry a stranger, depending on the circumstances that precipitated before you got married, you know. But the fact of the matter is that if marriage must work, because it has a lot of hard work in it, to make it soft work, you must marry your friend. So the hard work of marriage becomes soft work when you are married to your friend. And you see, it takes time to build friendship. Friendship is being there. Friendship is trust. Friendship is support. Friendship is empathy. Friendship is understanding. Friendship is consideration. These are the things that makes friendship friendship. And in these 12 years also, I've come to discover as a married man that there's need for adaptation and adjustment. So if marriage must work, as a married man, this hit me hard. I must adjust because we are different from different background, different family, different. Some people might from different ethnic group entirely, from another nationality. So there's need for adjustment and adaptation. I need to say this to you. No marriage goes anywhere without adaptation. Adaptation is adjustment. The need to adjust. I remember in those days, I loved to sleep with the light on. My wife loved everywhere dark if you want to sleep. I said, you know that? Which one call them call dark like this? I want my light, yo. But now I can sleep without light, and now she can sleep with the light on. Marriage is about adjustment. In little things. For example, there's some soup I don't know how to eat before, but now I eat them well. Okra. My wife, her mother happened to be an Shekiri woman, so you can imagine bringing those Shekiri vibe into it. Okra and akma, this draw soup. It makes a lot of sense. But before growing up, I know they chop okra because my dad does not love it, so my mom does not cook it. But see, as simple as that may sound, adjustment, adaptation. That's what I've learned. If your marriage must work, ask yourself, which area do I need to adjust to my wife? Do I need to adapt to my wife? Well, I can see your chat, your conversation with me, and it's making me laugh. Yes, so the darker the better. Sleep with me, okay? But now, let's say your man loves to. Okay, let me bring another twist to it. I need to round up because of time. What about if your partner is a heavy snorer? You know that kind of railway line snoring. Now even the next flat people can hear you. What do you do? Somebody was asking me one day. I said, you use earphone. Use earphone. If he's snoring, he's not allow you to sleep. What do you do? Mine is about adjustment. When you marry your friend, you just give him one knuckle. I said, oh, but what did they do now? See, they snore like cow like this. you both laugh at each other and you just move on. Adapt. But many don't want to adapt. That's where the hard work of marriage is. And I've also learned in these 12 years of my own married life, this is the third perspective of marriage as a married man of 12 years, is that every marriage that must thrive must avoid three major pitfalls. The pitfall of third-party interference. There was a time in our marriage that I discovered that each time we have heated disagreement or conflict, it's not because of issues between my wife and I. Most of the time it's because of the issue from a third party. So any man that must do well must be wary of third party intervention. Another issue is issue of finance. Finance is another major pitfall that people must look out for. Then another issue is the issue of, similarly, romance. Finance and romance, they are very critical. Sex. I think maybe one of these editions of Married Conversations, I'm going to create, we're going to have an edition of Married Conversation dedicated to talk about sex. Because of my time, so I want to go to the last aspect of my thought about marriage. So those three things. So in my 12 years of marriage, I've come to realize, so marriage, from my perspective as a married man, 12 years counting, I discovered that one must be wary of, among many things, three major things: third party interference, finances and money issues, management of money, budgeting of money, and the issue of sex. Then let me go to the last aspect before I let you go. Is my thoughts as a marriage therapist. Now, having been certified as a mental health counselor with specialization in relationship and marriage therapy, I've come to realize that love alone, especially the butterfly in your belly, is never enough. Love is never enough. The emotional dimension of love is never enough. It's never enough to make any marriage work. So what is important? Knowledge is key. And that's why I posted earlier on this morning that pain is a call for adjustment. And most of the time people react to pain looking for something to numb it, not knowing that the response to that adjustment is expertise. And that's where the place of marriage therapy comes to play. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is king in any marriage that will stand the test of time. Very, very important. And that's why the place and importance of premarital counseling, premarital education is very, very important. There are people that they've been dating, they've been courting for years, they've never sat down to think about very, very important thing. There was a time I heard about a situation, somebody crying out for counseling on an online or radio program, and said the husband had been asking her for anal sex, she had been giving him anal sex, and now she's having injury, even though she's not open to that idea. And now she's saying to the man, look, I can't continue, I'm having injury in my anus. And the guy said, if you don't give me, I'll go outside. And the woman came online and on radio and asked her, what should I do? And I wonder, these are the issues you have to have discussed before you got married. So the question, what were the things you were discussing? For example, how many number of children are we going to have? How are we going to plan our finances? Which area are we going to live? Very, very important issues. What are the no-no for you? So what are the deal breakers for you? These are the things that people need to. So as a marriage therapist, this is my final perspective about marriage. As a marriage therapist, I've come to realize that many people just go into marriage based on the emotional feelings only. And it's never enough. Never enough. Knowledge is important. Post-marital counseling, post-marital education. See, I've come to realize also that everything that matters to us we maintain or we service. For example, you have a car, it's very, very good, it matters to you. You service it maybe once in 3 months or once in a month, depending on your usage. You have your plumbing work in your house, it's useful, you service it. Your gas cylinder, you refill it because it's important. So also marriage, anything that matters to you, you must service it. So as a marriage therapist, my perspective about marriage, as a final thought I'm sharing with you tonight, is that it's important that you service your marriage. And one of the way we do that, at times you don't wait until things are going haywire before you employ the services of a marriage therapist. Just to talk. We call it talk therapy. As a marriage therapist, I've discovered that marriage, as beautiful and as interesting as it is, marriage can go sour. Marriage can go sour. It's a reality that the things we experience on a day-to-day basis as a marriage therapist. And we are grateful that we are able to bring professional expertise and knowledge to the table that have revamped and reordered and rejuvenate. And that's why I believe that there's no marriage that is beyond redemption. Marriage can go sour. The marriage you do not invest into will become sour. So as a marriage therapist, I've become to discover that investing in your marriage and your relationship is critical. Investment of time, investment of money, resources, investment of attention and affection. Very, very important. So there are no hopeless situations if only the parties involved are willing to give it all it takes. So I've seen marriages at the verge of divorce, and today they are doing well. So as a marriage therapist, I can tell you that a sour, sexless, affectionless, and problematic marriage can still be redeemed. Can still be redeemed. That's the place of the work of a therapist. I've also realized that conflict is an inevitable reality in any marriage. But I also discovered as a therapist that conflict well managed would become a bonding factor rather than an item of disintegration in the marriage. So in my experience as a marriage therapist, I discovered that any conflict between a man and his wife that is well managed, or probably if they can't handle it and they consult the service of a therapist, can become a bonding factor rather than an item of disintegration in their marriage. So if your marriage matters to you, why not service it? When last did you service your marriage? When last did you take your wife out? The last time some people have told their wives that I love you was during their wedding vows, when they exchanged their marital vows. Let me end on this very funny story that I had. That there was a marriage conference for men, a gathering for men, and the marriage counselor that was teaching them said, when last did you tell your wife you love her? When last did you tell your wife you something beautiful? Now pick up your phone, send a chat, send a WhatsApp, and just tell your wife you love her, how much you love her. Just say beautiful things. You need to see response. The first guy send his own message. Babe, how are you doing today? I love you. The wife quickly call back. Hello, is that Babatunde? Is that Babatunde? Are you sure this is not wrong number? Another one said, hey, Chukudi, don't tell me you've gone to pregnant another woman. You are trying to pamper me. We thought this is your love story. I don't want to hear you. Another one. What do you want to say this time? You want to borrow money? I don't have any money to borrow you. Because do you know why? Because it's only when they needed things. You are thinking about sex tonight, Abi, because you know that you didn't give me the money. So it's a very funny thing, but it's an indication that a lot of men don't invest in their marriages. So as a marriage therapist, I've come to realize that marriages can work if we work it. Marriages can work if we work it. It does not matter how low on the ladder your marriage relationship is at the moment. Your marriage can still work. If in as much you are committed, you don't need to have it all figured out. That's the work of a marriage therapist. Somebody like me, that's what I do. So tonight, I hope with these few words of mine, I'll be able to convince you and not confuse you that marriage is a beautiful thing. Your smart moment, things can get better, and you can still enjoy that marriage. Your conflict does not need to be a factor of disintegration. It can become an item of bonding. There's a word I used to tell people. I said, we disagree to agree. So you can have a relationship where, fine, we'll still disagree because we are human. Our temperamental differences, our gender differences, our background, our spiritual maturity, our mental maturity, our academic exposure, and things like that. All those things can influence what happens in a marriage. But if we make up our mind and say, look, guy, you are my ride or die or ride or leave. We are doing this together. And we're ready to pay the price. Definitely things will work out fine. So I rest my case tonight. And I just hope I've been able to add one or two value to you tonight. And I look forward to engaging with you once again next week as we continue our marriage conversation. So I just want to drop, what are your light bulb moments? What are the things that stood out for you in this few conversations of mine with you? Just drop them in the Love Alone is Not Sufficient for Marriage. Beautiful, beautiful knowledge. Welcome, Sound Mind Therapy. Mommy! That's Madam Oluremi. Presido. That's our president, the president of the alumni of all the students that I went through Institute of Counseling in Nigeria. That's our president of our alumni. You're welcome, ma'am. We welcome her. Okay, we really do not need a reason to appreciate each other. Okay, I didn't get that. We really do not need a reason to appreciate each other. Can you please expatiate on that so that I can get the point you're trying to make? Okay. Any other light bulb moment? What stood out for you tonight? Can you just drop it in the chat? Marriage is hard work. True, it's hard work. And I also said, marriage, the hard work in marriage becomes soft work when you marry your friend. And I said, the ideal thing is to marry your friend. And if you have not married your friend, make your spouse your friend. Begin the journey of making deliberate and intentional. How did you become a very close buddy to your best friend? You created time for them. You were there for them. Some people in their marriages, they've lost interest of being there for each other. Your husband is doing something major. And you think things will remain the same. No. Your wife is being celebrated, maybe being given an award for an outstanding performance as the most outstanding performer, staff of the year. I don't think it's the place you should be. So these are the things. Okay, adjustment and adaptation. Yeah. Invest in your marriage. Okay, commitment. If it's convenient, then it's not commitment. Yes, it's not commitment if it's convenient. Yes, true. There's a lot of inconveniencing situation in marriage. I can't tell you many times I don't feel like going out, and my wife said, please, I'd like you to take me to work, drive me down to work. I said, but I'll go drive now, wait till me. Always, I love when we just gist, At times I'm in a place that they call me, you have to go pick up the kids in school, maybe for one reason or the other. At times, the family engagements, I have some other plan for the day, and lo and behold, I have to go help my wife out. Maybe we have to for some extended family engagement. So these are the things that marriage demands. Is a commitment that, look, you are my ride or die, you are my ride or leave. We are into this together. There are times maybe one of the parties, especially the man, maybe he just lost his job, and the woman have to shoulder the responsibility in the home. That is commitment. It's not convenient. I remember there was a time during my transition period that I left paid employment and I went back to school to do psychology and to do this professional certification program. I was not earning an income at that point. My wife was saddled with responsibility of taking care of the home financially. So at a point I said, look, instead of just like that, I have a car, sold my car, use it for Uber for some time so that when I'm out of school, I drive Uber just to bring some things on the table. That's commitment, to show my wife that, look, I'm committed to you. I'm no longer driving Uber. I've once been the research and development manager of the Institute of Counseling. I've also, by the time, I also been the registrar of the institute. But now I have my own private practice, and I'm still a senior tutor at the institute. That season I've since passed, but the commitment we had to each other then kept our marriage going. I want to challenge you. Look for a way to be intentional about your spouse. Look for a way to be committed to her, to show that truly you love her. When you show a woman that you are committed to her, see, to a woman, security is an important thing. Help is the major desire of a man in marriage. Why? Security is the major expectation of a woman in marriage. Every woman loves security. Every woman loves this man. How can you show commitment? Maybe your wife has been complaining that she does not love your relationship with your closeness with a particular person. Tonight is an opportunity to create that boundary, to let your woman know that, look, I'm in for this. I'm going to create that boundary. And I'm not going to insult our relationship with my closeness with the opposite sex. Is there any man that your husband has been complaining? This is the time to draw that boundary. Marriage can be beautiful. Marriage can be enjoyable. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm enjoying my marriage. And I've helped countless number of people to also achieve this. This is what I do. And I'm open to support you in whatever way, in whatever form. You can send me a DM. Let's talk about it. Your marriage can be better than what it is. Are you a single lady, a single brother? Don't tie that knot without going through my premarital course, my premarital counseling session. Very, very important. So I want to encourage you tonight that marriage can be beautiful, marriage can be sweet, if only we'll be committed to it and do it right. So on this note, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making this first edition of Marriage Conversation a success. And I want to say, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. On behalf of myself and every one of us at Love Boulevard, I want to say thank you so much. So thank you, Babson. Thank you, Bankole Peters. Thank you, Sound Therapy. Thank you, Akinlonge Ibling, Cornerstone Gibi. I want to appreciate you, Oluwagbemi Ayesa. Thank you. Cast Republic, I appreciate you. Nolly, thank you. Talk to Ray, Sound Mind, I appreciate you. Kashi, Kelechi, Adewale Akinsheye, I I appreciate I can't mention every name that is here, but I want you to know that I do appreciate every one of you. Tosin, Ademefun, Damisius, Nolly, thank you for making tonight an interesting one. Cast Care _ space NG, thank you so much for making today an interesting one. I look forward to catching up with you next week. You never can tell, we may probably have a guest, or probably I'm still going to have a solo run. But whether it's solo run or a guest, it promises married conversations, promises to be an interesting time, an informative time, day in, day out, even as we meet. So on behalf of myself and everyone that have made this possible, my lovely wife and my team at Love Boulevard, I want to thank you so much. And for every one of us that have made it a success, I appreciate you for coming online. Till I see you again next week, Friday, on Married Conversations with Olaiwola Abiola. I say bye-bye. Thank you.